Most High's good, Josh.
Yes.
Awesome, brother. Hey.
Shalom.
Shalom.
This is a Waco Israel here on this lovely Sabbath afternoon. Ahayah, bahashem, Yashayah, through the Holy Spirit.
Barak Kadash. God bless today. We're blessed almost, well, just about every day, just walking in truth, walking in his love. Truth is love. Amen.
Yeah.
John says, I hope that you walk in truth and love, you know. You know, love meant, he didn't mean like everybody in the church like they do today. No, this kind of love is telling people the truth no matter what happens to you, no matter how much people hate you or dislike you. That's a hard love, see.
So,
Love you, brother.
the holy day, we're going to have, there's a feast day coming up on Monday, Atonement.
And we had a beautiful cooked steak last night for the feast. Last night, that was good. For the tabernacle. What was it, Josh, last night?
No, Atonement is on Monday.
No, so, no, I mean today, Friday and Saturday.
Nothing. There was a mistake. It's Monday.
All right, so we had it ahead of time, but it was good. It was good.
So,
it's okay, good.
and on Monday we're going to bring a good atonement lesson. I want to go in, rehash on some things. Good to go over lessons again because you see new things and you gain different insight than when you originally taught the same lesson.
Right. There's nothing new under the sun.
This is would be our third part. We did part two. We did a first part before a month and a half ago, before we had to bring our get our computer, our broadcasting thing set up, readjusted.
Move the light out. It's blinding you, Justin. It's glaring in your face. Can you see? That's good. That's good. I can see. Tony, turn that light off. Oh, sit behind Mary. Turn that off for a minute. I want to see something. Yeah, because that's really blaring Joshua out. Yeah, good. All right, now move this over here, Josh, so I can see. There you go. Okay. That's a little better.
So.
Yeah, sit over there, Tony, so you can see better.
So, with the lessons and the understanding that we bring, there is a lot of misunderstanding going throughout the Christian doctrine and the philosophy of the theology in Christianity. And as something we haven't taught on in a while, we're gonna go into it tonight. The understanding of the 12 tribes. And why does it matter that you know who they are?
Come on. Amen.
Because everything in this book called the Bible matters.
Everything matters.
You can't relegate something based on something you've been trained to believe.
I'm glad you brought that up.
Christianity trains you to think only what they say matters.
Yeah, that's right.
And the rest of what they don't say is irrelevant. Or how can I say? Whatever we don't say, that all you got to worry about is what we teach.
Yep,
pretty much.
Yep. Go ahead.
Don't examine nothing else.
Right.
So Christianity is a mind control religion. It's set up to control your mind and to make you think you understand the Bible. Now, with every lie, they'll give you elements and bits of the truth with it. So they can gloss over the lies and not explain the lie. Or the origin of certain doctrines they give you. For example, they teach in the church that Israel no longer matters, or everyone is the spiritual Jew or a spiritual Israelite doctrine.
I don't know where they're getting
Okay,
it
that's nowhere found in the Bible.
That's right.
For one.
That's right.
For secondly, they teach that purposely so they don't have to explain the people they conquered historically. They teach that doctrine on purpose so they don't have to repent of the sin they did to certain people.
Uh-huh. Come on.
And I'm not, when I say that, I'm talking about the founding, how Christianity founded. I'm not talking about individual people that go to church. If you go to church, your system of religious belief was founded on slavery. The only reason that Christianity exists here in America is because it was set up to brainwash black people.
Wow.
And Hispanic people.
Go ahead, brother.
Excuse me. So it was set up as a mind control for the people that were used to build this nation. Christianity was never meant to unify nobody. And it cannot unify nobody. That is why people say that Sunday is the most segregated day in America. Because the organism that's supposed to represent the Bible,
come on,
it has no unity in it. And you know this, if you go to a white, a so-called European church, a white church, more than likely you'll only see white people in the church you go to. If you go to a Hispanic church, you will only see
Latinos,
what they
Hispanics
refer to as Latinos. In a black church, you'll see strictly black people. Should not the truth unify, properly understood?
Yes.
There should be no white church or black church or Hispanic church or assembly or assemblies.
That's right.
All people should be able to assemble under one knowledge of understanding of the Bible. That's how you know, one of the ways you know that Christianity cannot be the truth, because it's not unified.
That's right. Come on, brother. Paul would have one mind, one thinking, right? Paul said it himself. So how is there 1,600 churches in Jacksonville?
And every single one of them supposedly has the truth.
Agree. No, they don't. They don't. It's all about waving. It's all about screaming. It's all about not learning on Sunday. I want to know the truth. We have truth now. And we're going to keep going on with it. No matter what anybody says.
So, I want to start with a little encouragement. After I finish this thought, we're going to start in Psalms chapter 1.
Yeah.
Then we'll go into the rest of the lesson. But I want to say this. Intellectual or being an intellect or being able to think on your feet, religion discourages you from that, because religion teaches you to believe only what you are taught.
Come on.
So they can control you mentally and make you feel as if you need them to connect to God.
Come on.
When throughout the Bible encourages the individual to connect to the Most High through Christ for themselves.
That's right.
Even Moses, the original prophet of the nation of Israel, after, once the nation was founded, more than once in Exodus and in Numbers, told the people to speak to God on your own. In Exodus 19, 20, 18 through 21, Moses brings the people up to the mountain. Read it for yourself to get the context. I'm going to summarize what happened. God just gave the law to the Israelites, the Most High. So Moses is bringing them up to the mountain to speak to God for themselves, which is showing you already the laws of God was not meant to be controlled by one mouthpiece. It was supposed to be an individual relationship through God's laws with the individual Israelite or the individual person.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
But the problem was the Israelites had just come out of Egypt where they had many pagan gods. And knowing that a pagan god is an idol, you can't have a relationship with an idol. So you blindly serve it. Right?
That's right.
But when you're expected to have a relationship with a living being like yourself, you shy away from that because you are used to something that doesn't respond back to you. Right? You are used to being around something that is dead. God told the Israelites,
dead religion.
The Most High told, when the Israelites came to the mountain, they saw the thunderings and the shakings, and the power of God came down on Horeb, on Mount Horeb. Right? And they said to Moses, they told Moses that you speak to God for us because we're afraid of him. Why? Because they weren't used to a being that could demonstrate power to them.
Absolutely.
They weren't used to a being that was personal.
Absolutely.
They were used to hiding behind idols.
Amen. Come on.
They were used to being around idolatry, which requires no relationship, no personality. The Most High, what did Moses say? Moses told the Israelites, what are you afraid of? He said that don't be afraid of this, but rather sin not. Right? So the purpose of God displaying his power is not for you to be afraid, it's for you not to sin. Then in Numbers, Eldad and Eldad and Medad, who are in the camp with the Israelites, Numbers 11:26 through 28, who the Spirit of God dealt with, but they weren't part of the religious structure of the Israelites. They weren't priests. They were not of the tabernacle or the priesthood. But yet the Most High still dealt with these men. And people went to Moses and said, forbid them. Joshua said, forbid them. Moses told Joshua, enviest thou me? I would the Most High that all his people would prophesy and that the Spirit of God would be upon everybody.
That's right. Come on.
Showing you the New Testament spirit in the Old Testament. That the assembly is supposed to be a functioning organism of everybody.
That's right.
Not a single monologue from one person. In fact, the role of the prophet in the Old Testament was to encourage all the Israelites really to seek God for themselves.
That's right.
So they didn't have to depend on the prophet to tell them what to do.
There you go.
Because, see, here's what men do. Men put other men in the way of them and God. God says, no, I can deal with you because I created you. I don't need a man in front of you. And that's what people don't want to deal with. That's why Christianity is also successful, because it enables you to hide. It enables you to hide behind idolatry.
Yes, sir.
It enables you not to be honest with yourself. It enables you to be spiritually lazy.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yep. That's what it actually does, Josh. It keeps you away from opening this book. Because you're told, well, just come to our church and listen to the pastor.
And then he opens the book and reads from 3 words.
And that's it.
He doesn't even preach from those. Then he philosophizes and tells stories for like even if it's half an hour now.
Yeah, all stories. That's right.
Even if it's longer than that, it's still no substance. That's why you walk out of the church empty.
It's true.
You feel like you wasted your time going there. Psalms chapter 1.
Admitting it today.
Psalms 1 and 1.
Okay. All right, Psalms 1 and 1. Ready? Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly.
What are the ungodly?
Mm-hmm. Come on.
No, what is ungodly according to the Bible?
Someone who doesn't keep the law and the commandments.
Read.
Nor sitteth in the way of sinners.
Sin is the what?
No, standard.
Wait, what? Sin is the
they
what?
They agree with them, right?
Sin is the what?
Transgression of the law.
Read.
Nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful.
So scorners are those who say, you know, well, God's law is done away with, brother.
Yeah, that's scornful.
Brother, you can't keep the law.
That's right. Come on.
That's scorning the Bible.
It sure is.
Because nowhere in the Bible does it say you can't. Think about this. Only an unrighteous person would tell you to do something that you can't.
Awesome.
God is not unrighteous, the Most High. Ahayah will always give you things you can do. The problem is you don't want to do it. Don't blame God for some things you don't want to do.
Come on.
As if he gives you a license to live it anyway. Where is that in the Bible?
That's right. Come on.
Christianity gives you a license to do what you want, really, and think it's justified in the Bible. That's why it's so hard to get through to Christians. Because Christians believe they can really do what they want.
How true.
And when it gets down to it, they resist the law because the law brings order and structure and requirements.
How true.
Religion doesn't require nothing of you.
No restraints.
But to give the pastor 10% of your money.
Yeah, come on.
But I thought the law is done away with. And tithing's in the law. But, brother, give 10% to the pastor. Well, no, that law still stands.
I'm getting these fixed, folks. So be patient.
Think about the hypocrisy of this, right? Don't laugh right fast. Think of the hypocrisy of this. The law is done away with, but you got to pay tithes, and tithing is in the law.
Yeah.
So that law is done away with, but the rest is done away with.
Yeah. Well, they got it down, don't they, Tony?
That's a complete hypocrisy.
Yeah, dude. Okay, but his delight is in the law.
His delight is in the what?
Delight is in the law.
His delight is in the law
of the Most High.
Read.
And in his law.
In his what?
And in his Christianity.
And in his what?
Law.
And in his law.
Doth he meditate day and night. He shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water. You know what that means?
The ones who keep God's laws and follows Christ are planted, are stable.
Truth. That's right.
So truth, that moves us.
Oh.
Excuse us. The curtain blew over the camera.
How's that?
That's better.
Yeah.
So
Go ahead, Josh.
So truth, law brings Christ and the truth to us, right? Law brings stability of mind or understanding.
Right, there you go.
Right?
Right. You're like a tree now,
Christianity can't stabilize you.
No, they can't.
Because you'll always be wondering what the Bible really says as a Christian.
Come on. That's right.
And isn't that the way we were?
Yes.
We never really understood the Bible.
And that's why we went from church to church to church because we couldn't find any truth.
Trying to find God,
stabilism.
And that makes you feel condemned because that makes the individual feel condemned because they feel like they're not seeking hard enough. It's not that you're not seeking hard enough. It's the system isn't set up to teach you.
And what does it do, Josh? It puts condemnation on you.
That's what I just said.
Yeah.
Based on you going from church, you start to feel unworthy
There
and
you
like
go. Like you're doing something wrong.
like the Bible isn't understandable because you hear 20 different understandings from every pastor.
This is what Josh is saying too. You never learn to defend the Bible
And
what it really says.
and then you can't defend the Bible because you don't understand it.
Right. So when I go up to a person and tell them they're Hebrew, they don't know how to defend the Bible and answer me, say, you know, you're right. I've been reading that. I've been reading that lately. And I'm starting to see that. No, they'll say, no, my pastor says we're Gentiles. You see, that's not defending the Bible.
That's just telling you something someone said.
You can't do that. You can't live like that.
Verse 4. What verse are we on?
Planted by the waters and bringeth forth his fruit in his season. In other words, your fruits of your righteousness, of your living right, of your works are gonna be shown.
Read.
His leaf shall also not wither. In other words, his way he lives.
Read.
And whatsoever he doeth shall prosper.
In other words, you will prosper in knowledge and understanding.
Doesn't mean money.
When you when you follow Christ and you follow the law.
Right. See, the word prosper, they took out, they ran with that, the Christians. Yeah, it's good to prosper, but prospering in the spirit and truth, that's prospering. Keep going.
Read.
Get Mary.
Ungodly are not so.
So the people who
don't keep
break
the law.
The laws of God are not so.
Not so. Go ahead.
But are like the chaff which the wind driveth away.
That's right.
Read.
Therefore, the ungodly shall not stand in the
judgment.
The judgment,
Go ahead.
nor sinners in the congregation of the righteous.
Look at this. Sinners cannot stand with you anymore, Tony, because you're righteous. No matter what they say, they're in error.
Read.
For the Mashiach
No, it's the Most High.
Most High knoweth the way of the righteous, but the way of the ungodly shall perish.
Okay.
Shall what? Perish.
Shall perish. So
if you're not keeping the law, you have just a slim chance to make it. You've got to have Christ and the law. You've got to keep the Sabbath, the holy days, the feast days.
Let's get into this.
By his mercy, he'll save you.
Psalms chapter 10 and verse 2.
All right, 10:2. Just turn over a few pages. Okay, let's get it. Okay, Psalms 10:2. We all have it? The wicked in his pride doth persecute the poor.
Everybody.
The poor.
Everybody.
The poor.
So wicked, or who is this wicked? This wicked here is speaking about the government, the world system of the world governmental system.
That's right. Let them be taken. Let them be taken in the devices, their plans that they have imagined.
Read.
For the wicked boasted of his heart, mind's desire, and blessed the covetous. Look, they always bless people who live just like them.
Bless the covetous.
Whom the Most High abhorreth, hates. He hates.
Read.
Yeah, Mary.
The wicked through the pride of his countenance will not seek after.
They won't search after him.
Most High is not
so
in all his thoughts.
So the Most High, since the rulers of this world have a hatred of the Most High and the Bible, they are working to turn every society that they rule against the Bible.
That's right.
Next verse, read.
His ways are always
grievous.
Thy judgments.
Thy what?
Judgments.
Or his law
our faith
are far
above
above
our
out of his sight. In other words,
he removes,
yeah,
he tries to remove every vestige of restraint,
right,
biblical,
right,
godly restraint from society.
as for all his seminary
enemies.
enemies. He puffeth
He goes, ha, ha.
them.
So people who believe in living according to God and the Bible are looked down on in this world today.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Read.
He has said in his heart, his mind, I shall not be moved.
You're not going to convince me, Dad.
For I shall receive,
Never
be in
adversity.
Now, what does this mean?
Wow.
Well, in Psalms chapter 49,
Never be
verse 11,
yeah,
the Bible says, his inward thought is that his houses shall, that, let's actually hold that, go there, Psalms 49:11. Hold that in Psalms 10 and go to 49:11.
49:11. I'll read it.
Okay.
Ready? 49:11. I'll read it. Their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever.
Now, in the
Explain that, Josh.
In the Bible, a house can either be two things. A house can be a lineage or a system of government. So
In this,
the world leaders have in their mind that the way they program society will always work, will always run, will always exist. Read.
they call houses continue forever, and their dwelling places to all generations.
Okay, what are their dwelling? What does that mean? That means the way when they go through the world and destroy lands and conquer them and set up immoral governments in them, they feel as if that system will always exist the way they set it up. And they call their lands after their own. Now, so
Come
that's
on, you may doing that? Yeah.
So going along with what David was saying in chapter 10 about him saying in his mind that I will never be moved or be at adversity. And this explains what he's saying. In other words, basically, the way I am running the world and have set up the world to run will always run. I have governmentally fixed the world against the people, and that will always exist unless it's changed. And I'm not going to be the one to change it because I stole I have, or the European power structure has stolen the earth from its original possessor.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So why are you mad at illegal immigrants? You have no right to judge a person who comes here when you did not originate here.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And they don't know they're the tribes, Josh. They don't.
So
no idea.
I'll say it again. It's not illegal immigration. The people who make those laws have no right to say who's legal or not legal when their forefathers stole this land. I promise you that all the people in high-rank government positions in America have in their families history of being first-hand persecutors of Native Americans or slave owners. I almost guarantee it because you don't get that powerful or that type of money. That type of power and position is residual. It's passed down through generations.
That's right.
So, yes, I wouldn't doubt that Donald Trump someone in his family was a Indian hunter or a slave owner. That goes for all the Clintons. We don't know where their money. I can almost promise you they own slaves, and their families probably own slaves because they are from Arkansas.
I wouldn't doubt it. I
mean, come on now.
Mm-hmm.
Thomas Jefferson. I mean, the majority of all the early presidents were slave owners.
Yeah. George Washington too. All of them. They all owned slaves.
So back to Psalms 10.
Okay.
Psalms 10, verse 7.
Ready? His mouth is full of cursing and deceit and fraud. Under his tongue is mischief and vanity.
So, mischief and vanity. Okay. What is the tongue of America? The media, the television, the movies.
Come on.
Who do they always paint with the media as the wrongdoer? Called Negroes, the children of Israel, Hispanics. They make more money off portraying the true people, the Israelites, as criminals than any other movies. And they sit back and they look at it and they know that this will mold people, other races, to look down on them and to create certain stereotypes that are reproducing and refuel and cause people to not to like them based on a misunderstanding of reality that they've gotten through television.
Yes, yes, sir.
Read.
He sitteth in the lurking places of the villages. In the secret places doth he murder.
He sits in the lurking places of the villages or in the cities.
Wow.
Who lurks around in cities? The police.
Come on.
Now, when we look up the history of the police in America.
Go ahead. Come on.
And once you do that, you will find that policing was not set up originally to police white people. The police were originally called paddy rollers. And what is a paddy roller? A paddy roller is a person or white people, patrols of white people that would go through cotton fields at night and search for runaways. Runaway what? Slaves. So the cops were not police. All police departments, especially here in the South, were not set up to. Were not put here to imprison white people. They just do that.
The points of the scheme.
They just do that to make everyone think they're trying to police white people. They could care less what white people do. They're not set up, and it's a proven fact. If you look at courts make more money off of sending blacks and Hispanics to prison than anyone else.
Now, don't get us wrong. White people get sentenced and go to prison, but whatever.
Innocent.
So he murders. He uses his legal system as a weapon against the Israelites. His housing discrimination. We know this to be a fact. Black people usually have the worst housing.
Wow. His eyes, get me.
His eyes are privily set against the poor. Read.
Look at that.
He lies in wait. Lies in wait.
He lies in wait.
Secretly.
As lion.
Now, what is David describing? And remember, David was a shepherd, right? So he tended sheep.
Right.
So he would watch lions sometimes try to steal it, and he would study how the lion crouched and hid itself to pounce on something.
Now, come on.
So he's using that analogy to tell you how the government sets its system up against
To pounce on them. That's right.
against the Israelites.
Yeah, that's right.
Every part of the government of this nation is set up against black people.
Come on. He lieth in wait to catch the poor. Go ahead,
He
brother.
lieth in wait to do what?
Catch the poor.
To help the poor.
Catch the poor.
To try to solve the poor's problem. To
Catch
do what?
the poor.
To catch the poor, who are the Israelites. Read.
He does catch the poor. Go ahead,
He
brother.
doth catch the poor.
Do his catch.
He doth catch the poor.
Uh-huh.
When he brought it into.
And what's the net?
The net
The worldwide
is
net.
the ambush.
That's right.
So why are there usually more police in low or in housing departments and in, because that's where they wait. They lie in wait as a net. Like, that's what a lion does. They gather together, they study their prey, and then they set a trap.
That's it.
Or a net.
Mm-hmm.
Then they wait for the prey, and they all pounce on them at once.
Mm-hmm.
He crouches and.
Wait, he crouches. So the government
Yeah, they,
crouch
Mhm.
or bow themselves,
right.
And
humble.
Humble it himself.
And so.
So what does this mean? So to get the votes of the poor, you notice no presidents.
Come on, this is good.
Watch this. You notice no presidents come through poor white neighborhoods
Isn't that something?
when they're trying to get elected.
And they say
So our
anybody can be
votes-
president of the United States.
Wait a minute. So the poor white vote doesn't matter. But how many presidents go through poor Latin and black neighborhoods?
Mm-hmm.
That's the only place they need. So they crouch, and when they're doing their campaigning in these areas, here's how they, and we know this to be true. They target blacks and Hispanics more. That's why blacks and Hispanics outvote everybody, because they're targeted more, because they understand if we can get the Hebrew vote, we will rule.
Mm-hmm.
If we can't get them to vote for us, we won't rule.
He has said in his.
Wait.
Mary.
So that's why they campaign more in the poor ghettos. You notice, you know that, but they don't put it on TV though.
And they really think they're going to be helped, and they're not.
So you would think white people get these presidents elected. No, they don't. White people don't possess that much voting power. White people are outnumbered in this land 2-to-1 or 3-to-1 by blacks and Hispanics. There are more blacks, actually. I think it's in 5 years by 2025 or 2024. There would be about 40 million Hispanics here in America or more. So-called Hispanics, right? There are about 40 to 50 million black people here in America. So put that together, you'll have almost 100 million Israelites. And you think white people get your presidents elected. No, they don't. Israelites do. They vote for their own destruction. So they have the Israelites voting for their enemy.
Wow.
Okay, let's go. Let's go to the book of. Let's go to Wisdom of Solomon 2. Then I think we'll close out in Deuteronomy or Leviticus.
Okay.
I don't know yet.
Wisdom of Solomon.
In the Apocrypha.
What chapter?
If you have a 16, I'll show you the Bible.
This is a great Bible.
1611, and it has. Let me show
you. Original 1611. I've got a 1611 with the Apocrypha in it. So you know those books were taken out of the Bible.
Where we going?
Wisdom of Solomon 2:11 or 2:10.
Okay.
If you open to the middle of the 1611, you see that, brothers and sisters? The Apocrypha, right?
Come on, Josh.
Can they see it? Look on the screen.
Yep. Apocrypha.
So we are going into the Apocrypha, Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2, verse 10.
Okay, I'll read this. 2:10. Do you have it, everybody? Tony?
Yeah.
Okay, 2. All right, let me find it. Verse 10. I got it. The ungodly oppress the righteous.
Read.
Let us oppress the poor righteous man.
Let us do what?
Let us oppress the poor righteous man.
Again, when we talk about the oppressed or oppressors, we're not talking about average everyday people who don't know. Who are the oppressor? The oppressor is the system ran by bankers and those people, the puppets they put in control.
That's right.
So basically, the oppressor in the Bible is the government and the people who fund the government or the banks.
That's right.
Those are the oppressors.
Amen.
Who funded or how did these bankers get all their money?
Mm-hmm.
Through the transatlantic slave trade.
Mm-hmm.
All these banks started, massive banking families started really gaining wealth around the start of the slave trade because they ran. Who do you think ran the West Indies Company, which was a major slave company? Jewish bankers.
Come on.
Most likely the Rothschilds,
Mm-hmm.
right?
That's right. Come on.
Who do you think funded all the slave ports here in America? The Rothschilds or Lehman Brothers, Goldman Sachs.
Mm-hmm. Come on.
Who are some other big banks in New
Bushes.
York? In New York,
Bilderbergers.
banks.
Yeah, dude, those are bankers.
No.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Bilderbergers,
Bilderberg.
maybe steel and all that.
Yeah, but they.
Yeah. They don't
Yeah.
considered bankers.
Yeah, but they're part of it, Tom.
Bank of America.
Yeah.
All these major, even these little banks, banking corporations,
Right.
probably got their start
Mm-hmm.
from money passed through the banking system from
Sure,
slavery.
That's right. Okay. It's all in one pot. And let us, what's this? Come. Okay. Let us oppress the poor righteous man. Let us not spare the widow, nor reverence the ancient gray hairs of the aged.
Uh-huh.
Let our strength, what's this?
Okay.
America's strength, missiles and everything else, or bombs, whatever you want to call it, or the government, be the law of justice. Take away the commandments, but let us be the strength of our own law.
So, in other words, ever hear this? This is a saying, or I don't know if this is a saying, but I'll say it this way. Men will never set up a law that is just for every man.
Mm-hmm.
Men will always give a law that justifies them. Only God gives laws that justify everybody, that can save everybody, or is fair to everybody.
That's right.
People can never come. I don't want to say people in general. Government-controlled system will never set laws up that keep everyone equal.
That's right.
Because their design is not to have equality.
That's right.
Equality meaning that the law works only for them or people that look like them.
Let me say something real quick. Watch. When your forefathers, not my forefathers, the Freemasons, the 33s, the presidents, in the Constitution, they say every man is what, equal? What was that?
All men are created
all
equal.
men are created equal. They were talking about themselves, nobody else.
Yeah, they weren't talking about slaves. They weren't talking about people they had working, picking cotton, indigo, right. Peas, cotton.
I'm
chopping sugar cane down.
We're so fooled. They were talking about themselves. They didn't care make anybody else rich and equal. That was far from them.
Okay, read.
Okay, hold on.
Or
Let our strength be the law of justice, for that which is feeble is found to be nothing worth.
So the Bible is found to be feeble, or the Hebrew, the Israelites are feeble to these people that rule us.
Therefore, let us be in wait for the righteous, because he is not for our turn.
So the righteous, or the Hebrews,
law keepers.
are not for the turn. In
That's
other
right.
words, their system,
Their strength.
their strength comes out from the Most High, and not from a law made by people.
That's right. Come on, Josh. And he is clean contrary
So what does it mean that they are clean and contrary to the doings of the
to
people who
our
rule
doings. Yeah, Josh.
to our doing? In other words, the way we run the earth.
Right.
Because they know what we say is true. They know that God gave the people that they enslaved on with slave ships
That's
and a law that is above theirs. And to be honest, the only reason they're trying to destroy this world is because they want the next one. Because that's how you know that everyone believes God is real. There's no such thing as a non-believer. Every person who is a cult, like a whatever you want to call it, atheist, agnostic, Satanist, pagan, every one of them believes in God. They just don't want to accept what he says. So what do? They set up a government they can control, manipulate, and turn it against the people they enslave with the government. Again, not everyday people. This is talking about a system that is funded and ran by high-level devil worshippers, not everyday people.
He upbraideth us with our offending the law, and objected to our infamy, the transgressions of our education.
he
Professes. Come on.
He professes to be the Son,
the knowledge of the Most High,
to have,
and he called himself the child.
Of,
that's right. Amen. And he called himself
the child
of the Most High.
So this wicked government tries to put on itself that they are God's chosen, or God told them to set up America. But they know the Israelites are the chosen, and they will rule the earth to come.
Yes, sir.
Let's go to Leviticus. Leviticus 26.
Good lesson,
Leviticus 26.
We got a lot of views the last couple of days, Tony.
Leviticus, the 26th chapter,
I'm glad we're back
and
on.
the 15th verse.
Leviticus. Was it?
26:15.
26:15. Okay. Leviticus 27:15. 26:15. Right? I got it. Hold on. You want to read it, Mary? Hold on.
Hold on. Leviticus is before Numbers, right?
Right.
Okay.
26:15. And go ahead, Mary. Oh, hold on, George. Hold on.
I got it.
And he shall despise my statutes,
and if ye shall despise my statutes,
and if he shall despise my statutes, or if you
pure
so
Auburn.
My judgments, so that ye will not do all my commandments.
No, he said some.
All my commandments.
So religion and Christianity teaches you to hate the law.
That's right.
Because they teach you don't have to follow it.
Watch out.
Read.
that ye break my covenant. I also will do this.
So the Most High did this to his people.
Come on.
I will even appoint over you terror.
Wow.
Terror. I'll send people with nets and whips to pick you off of the coast of Africa and put you in a slave ship.
Come on.
Conception and the burning
Auger.
that shall
And I'll cause different diseases to strike you.
That's right.
the eyes and cause sorrow of mind,
Mm-hmm.
and ye shall sow your seed in vain
Whatever you do, it's going to come up empty.
for
Yeah.
your enemies that
Shall.
shall eat it.
And I will set my face against you, and ye shall be slain before.
I shall
this is
set-
Deuteronomy too.
I
Your
shall
enemies.
set my face against you.
Wow.
Read.
I shall set my face against you, and ye shall be slain before your enemies.
You shall be slain before your what?
Enemies,
Your what?
friends,
Your what?
enemies.
So your enemies, I will send these enemies and give them power to almost cut you completely off.
They that hate you,
They that what?
they that love you.
They that what?
They that hate you,
They that what?
hate you,
They that hate you.
shall reign over you.
So Donald Trump hates black people. Obama hates his black people. George Bush hates black people.
Come on.
Clinton
So it's his brother. That's
hates
right.
black people.
Oh, yeah.
George Bush Sr. hated black people.
That's right.
Jimmy Carter hates black people. Nixon,
All of them.
Reagan, Carter, Nixon, LBJ,
What about Kennedy, Josh?
Kennedy. And let's deal with Kennedy and
Yes.
LBJ, Lyndon Baines Johnson, LBJ.
Mhm.
What was the true purpose of them signing the Bill of Rights, or what was the true agenda? They were not trying to help black people. No. The devil doesn't help people. The devil will seem to help, but it's not.
Mhm.
The true purpose, because the black community was so unified, it seemed to force change. So what did the rulers of this country do in the 60s, early 60s, mid 60s? When was the Bill of Rights signed? 64?
Yeah.
64. They said,
October 68.
we can't deal with all these Israelites, in their own private assemblies when they're amongst each other.
Right.
We can't deal with the spirit of these Israelites unified. So, what can we do to divide them? You know what? We'll do this. And this is the intelligence of the devil. We will give them rights. And rights, civil rights wasn't even the problem. It was seating discrimination that started the civil rights movement by Rosa Parks, who was a supposed lesbian. And Martin Luther King, who was supposedly a homosexual. So that's who they have representing black people, a lesbian and a homosexual.
Bring it.
Think about this stuff, man. But let's get back to the mindset of why this happened. we can't have these Israelites unified because they'll eventually find something that we don't want them to find. So what we'll do, let's be crafty with these people. Let's give them civil rights, which will allow us to bring drugs into their community. Because once you give someone something, they let loose, and they start living it up. Let's give women's rights to black women. Let's get them from under the man, the Israelite man. Let's divide their families. Let's start imprisoning them at a highest rate. After the civil rights movement was when blacks and Hispanics started to go to prison more. You ever notice that?
Yep. Come on, brother.
Civil rights, though.
Yep.
We need our rights.
Mm-hmm. Come on, keep going.
The police.
The police thing.
So
They love
civil
us.
rights. Okay, let's look at it like this.
They love us.
The government said, you know what? We'll give them their rights, their civil rights, when they really have rights. But
there you go.
they feel like based on a lack of knowledge of what and who they were, they felt like they needed their oppressor to validate them. They felt like they needed the people who were complicit with the KKK and complicit with the police down in the South doing what they were doing with the hoses and the German shepherds and the Klan. They weren't against that, or they could have shut that down immediately. Okay, if that's like the so-called war on drugs. Okay, war on drugs. Okay, when did the war on drugs really start? With Nixon in the late 60s. What happened in the mid to late 60s? The Civil Rights Bill. Once you start dividing a nation people based on a law, then they become open, because the Hispanic and black communities prior to this were much more harder to penetrate or to destroy. Okay, back in prior to the 50s, the 60s, the late 60s, and the 50s, all the way back. Let's say from the 1865 to 1960 or 1950. The black community was pretty much impenetrable based on law. You could only persecute them so much, but then they prospered again as a people. Black Wall Street. Black Wall Street was a community in Tulsa, Oklahoma, with churches, hospitals, black Israelites, so-called black people living together and not harming one another. That is a concept that boggles the mind today. But look it up. It's called Black Wall Street. What happened to Black Wall Street? Black Wall Street was destroyed by a mob of jealous white people, jealous of black unity and prosperity. Probably more funded or fueled by the Klan, but let's say it was just a Klan attack on the hood, not on the hood, on a successful all-black community. We can close, I think, the Bible. Let me give you some more examples, then I'll close. I'll just say a couple more things that we'll close out and say shalom for the evening. So the government going forward, the government going forward must have had to figure a way. You know what? We can't just bomb people indiscriminately, although we can. What we have to do is we have to find a legal way where we can oppress them. So you know what? We'll put people in amongst them to stir them up, to make them feel as if they don't have rights among each among. Let me say it like this. We'll stir them up and make them think they need our acceptance to have rights. When actually persecuting them unites them. Okay? That's the greatest fear of the government, a unified nation of Israel under the truth. And who's to know what they would have actually found out? Ergo, they would have probably discovered some information about who they were, blah blah blah. But back to the point. So Kennedy and Johnson had to figure out in their private assemblies. Let's think about this strategically. We need a legal way of how to oppress these slaves we have, and keep them here. You know what? Let's make a bill, but we won't tell them the ramifications of what will happen. Let's start giving black women welfare and food stamps and all this other false assistance so they don't need, or to make them feel as if they don't need a man to take care of them. Or not a man, they're men. Because I could easily give someone more money than someone can make in a month to live on.
Come on.
So, look at all the things that have increased. Black on black crime has increased since the 60s.
Oh, yeah. So
From that time,
where's the civil rights?
where's the improvements?
Where's the improvements?
Where's the change? Where's the dream that little black children and white children will eat together?
Yeah, where is it?
Or where a person will be judged for their content of their character and not the color of their skin. That's never changed. That may be different good for individuals, but that's how a government is supposed to. That is how a government and a nation is supposed to run its laws. A government and a nation should not have color-coded laws. America has had and always will have color laws, because that's how America was set up.
That's right.
America was never set up to treat every man equal. So you can put that lie, that idea of equality, there's no such thing. It doesn't
Put
exist.
it away because it's not true.
Now you can have equality in the truth because God, the Most High, forgives the past. He doesn't forget the past, but he forgives it.
So you can leave the past and come to the truth.
But he will judge the past on America.
Oh, yeah.
And what America continually does to the children of Israel.
Take the air out.
Okay. So everything is a plot, brothers and sisters. You got to realize it and smell the coffee, right?
Oh, yeah.
Wake up. What else do I have to say? So the enemy, we know that I'll just close with I'll come back to my illegal immigration example. Who are you to tell? Who are you to say that a person can't come here when you had no land rights 400 years ago when this land was stolen?
You stole the land from everybody.
Who are you to judge? You have no judgment.
They don't believe that the people who own land in this country, they can be taken away from them in 1 minute. 1 minute, you can lose your land. I don't care how many deeds you have.
So, with that, happy Sabbath.
Yes.
And shalom.
Shalom.